federal judge has found the Trump administration is not fully complying with an order to unfreeze federal funds. District Court Judge John McConnell says that there's some evidence that federal grants and loans are still not being sent out to recipients, so he ordered the money released. He's the same judge who put a halt to the Trump administration's federal spending freeze. 24 states sued to be able to block the spending freeze last month. Let's bring in Chief Legal Analyst Clive Rhodes to talk about this. So the judge specifically said that the withheld funds must be restored. Explain that.
100%. I'll give you the background quickly. Attorney generals filed these complaints because there were things that they thought was wrong with the Trump administration's executive order, and a couple of other things were attempting to stop funds from being transferred to the states that they were supposed to. They filed an injunction request. The judge grants that injunction request. Then they recognize that the funds have still not been released. So what do? They filed an emergency hearing. The judge goes back, issues this order that we're talking about now, and in his order he says that it was clear, it was unambiguous, and that by no means should you still be holding these funds. Let me be clear, judges only speak through their orders. And so why did the judge address it like that? He's trying to figure out, well, what's happening? If I've said this is supposed to be done, my orders are the word. At this point, this should have already been taken care of. So the judge wanted to ensure that the Trump administration recognized that this is clear. Sometimes you may come back to the judge and say, I didn't understand your order. It was a little misguiding. It was it was ambiguous. Please give me some additional direction. He said, my order was crystal clear. I need you to go ahead and follow it.
Okay, when you were just talking right there, I felt like I was in the movie The Few Good Men, and then you just made the crystal clear comment. Yes, I'm with you, Khalif, on this. Now, this falls under two laws championed by former President Biden. I want to make a point there. It's the Inflation Reduction Act and also the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. Why do you feel that these two stood out, and are we getting political with this?
100% political. You got to think this whole thing is political, and so those two are named because the lead, or 6 leads, but the lead in Rhode Island is Brown University. They're receiving funding, 60 plus million, 70 plus million hasn't been cut to them. So they're trying to figure out, where's our funding? This is for dementia research. We can't do our research if you don't cut the check. So that's why that's important. But I got some numbers for you to let you know how political this is. We have 3 separate distinct branches of government. Right now, those are not acting the way they're supposed to. They're supposed to balance each other. When you have a judge telling a executive branch you're supposed to do something, typically they follow that. If you have our legislators create laws, typically the people follow those laws. Right now, the balance is off, and we have to try to find a way to get it back into balance. 1803, that's the last time that something like this came up. The case Marbury v. Madison. This let the courts know that they are the ones that interpret the law. The legislative branch makes the law. We determine the law. And then 0, we've never been in this situation before. We talk about uncharted territory before. We've never been in a situation where the president or the executive branch is just going to disregard a judicial order and say, you know what? I know you gave me this order, but I'm going to do what I want to do anyway.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because moving forward down the line, we're starting to be able to see these unprecedented cases. So my question for you, if Trump is directing U.S. Marshals not to enforce a judge's ruling, so what does that mean for justice? Because just as you laid out, we have 3 branches as to what their jobs are, but this just seems to be like, hey, you know what? We're going to not abide by that, and we're going to do this over here.
I can tell you this, and I hate to give this answer on air. It's always the worst thing to do, but this is the attorney in me. If you don't know the answer, you're supposed to say, I can look it up, right? My goal is to try to figure out where I can guide us. Okay. You look at precedent. Because we've never been here, I don't really have guidance. What I can tell you is typically if this was a normal person, a judge would issue an order, a person would disregard it, and they would hold them in contempt. They'd have a show cause hearing. They say, I gave you this order, you didn't follow my order, I want you to come to court, show cause, explain to me why you failed to do what I told you to do. Well, this is the president. Now you're kind of in a weird situation where you're not going to show cause the president and have him come to court. You're not going to have him in contempt and to lock him up because he failed to follow your order. So the Trump administration is challenging our laws in ways that we've never seen before.
Right, exactly.
J.D. Vance today said that the judge can't tell the president basically what to do. Not really 3 separate branches of government. That sounds more like tyranny, more like something that we're not supposed to have. So what I can say is, uncharted, unknown. I'm still researching to figure it out, but right now it's scary.